Good morning and welcome. This is Sunrise Daily. I'm Ayo Makin. It's Thursday morning and it's the 22nd day in the month of July 2026. I bid you welcome.
Good morning, Ayo. 24 degrees here in the nation's capital. I'm Kayla Megwa. Welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. Yes, sunny Abuja. We don't know how long this is going to last for, but we hope you make the most of it because there's another bout of rain that's about to hit us. Hey, but welcome to the program. Listen, we've had so many conversations right here on Channels Television since morning. A lot of big issues, updates on things going on. This embarrassing case, the update on it is out there already. But today on the program, we're going to go straight into our conversation. I think our guest is already in Lagos. We're looking at the preparedness of INEC for the 2027 general elections. Also, the fact that, you know, the extension of the continuous voter registration and introduction of self-service registration for first-time voters. Are we ready as a people? How is our election umpire getting ready for 2027? All these cases in court, are they going to be sorted before the timeline runs out? And who are we going to be seeing on the ballot come 2027? Who is going to be losing out? How is INEC getting ready for a lot of the criticism that they're going to face in the run-up to the elections? And is Professor Joash Amupiton ready for the job ahead, Ayo?
Well, there are many other issues around that, Kayla, and really, anyone who is holding such sensitive positions, I really don't envy them. When we talk about voters, when we talk about, you know, things that we need to do as a people, you said, are we ready as a people? Now, the people part, even though we're all Nigerians, the people part is the voter part. And that voter part, there is a generation we don't usually give attention to, or we don't factor in significantly when we are talking about all these issues. The so-called Gen Zs, Generation Z. They have a peculiar language, a peculiar way of doing stuff. And to be honest, there is no governance-related things that we would think about substantially if we do not factor them in. They made a significant difference in the 2023 elections. They do that every election cycle. And those who were not 18 before 2027, if you turn 18 in January, you vote. in February. Will you vote in February? Maybe we'll be asking our guest this morning. Professor Ayobami Salami is the resident electoral commissioner for INEC in Lagos State. He's here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us this morning. Thank you for having me, and good morning to our viewers. Well, I'm going to be undulating between issues this morning, but let that thing that I just asked now, anyone who the CVR ends on Sunday, you said, July 26th? Yes. Okay, so people can still register on July 26th? Exactly. Okay, but that means that anyone who turns 18 in January next year is not eligible to vote yet. For you to be able to register, you have to turn 18 latest by 26th of July 2026. Okay. Anything beyond that, you are not eligible. Okay. Well, straight to that issue then. There are concerns. Maybe I should ask you, what are the concerns that INEC has had to deal with, particularly concerning this voter registration? We know the stats is out there, you know, in public domain, that Lagos and Kano are pretty much leading in terms of the continuous voter registration. But so what are the issues, challenges, what are the things that you can say about how we as a people have cooperated with INEC, so to speak, in that regard? Thank you very much. This CVR, this continuous voters registration, started in August last year, and we divided into 3 phases so that we can give people ample opportunity to be able to register those who are eligible. The first phase ended in September, the second phase ended in April, and then the third phase, what we are in now. It should have ended about 2 weeks ago, but because INEC still want to give opportunity for people, because mass participation is very important for our democracy, and that is why it has been extended by another 2 weeks. And initially, people were not really taking it seriously, but along the line, it started picking up.
And at the time, people are complaining that maybe they were not having enough time during the, so actually those who are working, the working class, that because of the time we open by 9 a.m. for the registration, and we close by 3, but if you're on the queue on an office by 3 o'clock, we still attend to you before you go. Now, the commissioner decided to now extend to weekends. Even now, we operate on weekends. So, Saturdays and Sundays to increase the accessibility. And recently, to ensure that we will make it more convenient and also improve the access, we have now introduced as a commission what is called the new continuous voters registration online. In which case, before now, you need to come to our office. You can do pre-registration in your comfort office on your smartphone or in your room, but you have to come to our office for biometric capturing. But now, you don't even need to come to our office. Anybody can sit down in the comfort of his home or office. Once you have a smartphone, Android, you go on our website, you download the new CVR app, and then you do everything, including biometric capturing, on your phone, on your smartphone. So all these things we will be doing to address the issues that people have been raising about the convenience, the accessibility, and the rest.
I'm not very sure that many people are aware of this initiative of people being able to register, fully register in the comfort of their homes. When did the INEC evolve this initiative?
See, what is happening is that INEC is constantly thinking of how we can deploy technology to improve access and also to bring more convenience to people to be able to participate in the process. So this initiative started about a week ago. Specifically, it was deployed on the 15th of this month. And I can assure you that even in Lagos State, thousands of people have been making use of that opportunity to register online.
Okay. So just to be clear, the name of the app is, what's the name of the app?
INEC CVR.
Okay. So it's not in my INEC official app?
No,
okay.
Just, but you need to have Android smartphone to be able to download it.
Okay. Well, let's just check it just to be sure.
Yes.
So you call it INEC CVR?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So the viewer can also check it out.
Yes, they
now.
can check
I see it. It's just titled, the name of the app is just titled INEC CVR. And we'll continue the conversation. So you said that thousands of people have been using it.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
I can speak for Lagos State. I'm sure in Lagos State, thousands of people have been using it.
But of course. But then, there are a number of other things that I think will be good for people to know. I asked what the challenges are that you may have encountered in this process.
Well, like I said earlier on, we are as a commission, there are times we have the issue of the network, maybe like when people come to our office, sometimes we have the downtime. I mean, with respect to network connectivity, but this has not been a major issue because once we have that one, it doesn't take much time. It's resolved, and then people are able to register. But we don't control that. So, and that is why now we say that you don't even need to come to our office, and you can do it in the comfort of your home or your offices.
Okay. Just a quick one before I throw it to Kayla shortly. There's this recent judgment that the appeal court, ordered in favor of INEC, so to speak.
Yes.
The judgment that was in favor of INEC, that the challenges that the political parties had of the timelines, the guidelines of INEC were issues that, they didn't really, pretty much the appeal court was on the side of INEC. Does that nullify some actions previously or not? How does that affect your function as a resident electoral commissioner?
Well, you know that the commission is guided by 3 instruments: the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Electoral Act, and our guidelines. And the guidelines of the commission is derived from these 2 instruments, the Constitution and the Electoral Act. So when the commission came out with the guidelines, so some people exercise their fundamental rights by going to the court, and the court has given a judgment which says that the INEC guideline is still okay, and so we keep with our guideline. It does not affect our continental programs as originally envisaged and publicized.
Okay. So let's quickly go to Kayla. I think there are some issues to be addressed there. Go ahead, Kela.
Indeed. Good morning, Prof. We've been listening to a lot of the things that you've been saying, but just so we can get a sense of how the extension of this continuous voter registration has impacted Nigerians. Are there more people registering as a result of this extension? Are we going to see more people register this time for the 2027 general elections?
Thank you very much, Kayla. Within the last few days, we have seen a surge with respect to the registration. And this is what we had been preaching from the beginning of this exercise, that people should not wait the last minute or the last time to come out. But I can assure you that within the last 1 or 2 weeks, in Lagos State in particular, we have witnessed increase in number of registrants. And I'm also glad that even when we introduced the new online CVR portal, Lagosians have been making sure of this opportunity, and we have a lot of them registering using this portal on a daily basis.
So let's move to other things. These cases in courts, almost every political party has some kind of case in court, and it's brought to question in the minds of Nigerians who will make it to the ballot, who will survive all these litigations. Who are we going to see on that ballot when, 2027 comes around? Is that something that worries INEC?
Well, of course, INEC is also worried just like any other Nigerians, because whatever the court decides, we must implement as a law-abiding commission. So whatever the decision of the court, the INEC is bound to obey it. And if it comes too close, to the deadline, it might become, raise some issue with respect to our preparation. But despite all that, I know the Commission has a lot of inbuilt mechanism to deal with every eventuality, so that at the end of the day, it will not negatively impact on the process.
What that has also done is raise the conversation about how INEC has handled a lot of these judgments in the past few months. Of course, you know that INEC has been criticized, and many political parties have been really critical of INEC, saying that in many ways your interpretation of court judgments shows some kind of bias, and of course, many people have felt, look, a lot of these rulings in courts are, impacting on internal politics of our parties, and we don't want any kind of invasion by INEC. What do you make of those criticisms, and how are you gearing up for more criticisms as more cases are going to be ruled on in court?
You know that the Commission, as a public institution, we are used to criticisms, and then it also helps us to assess our process and then improve our activities. So whatever criticism that people bring forth, we look at it objectively. What is right, we take in. What is not right, we jettison. But we ensure that we play by the rule and we follow the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, obey the Electoral Act, and then stick to our guidelines and ensure that every court judgment that is given, we obey.
I mean, I like the fact that you're answering the questions, really straight to the point, because that's what the Nigerian people need when they're listening to an umpire like INEC. The way sometimes it doesn't feel like things are clear. So just so we're very clear about a few of these issues. Now let's talk about the main problem, the main criticism that INEC has to do with your chairman. The fact that your chairman, not just this one, the chairman of INEC over the years has always been an appointee of the president, who happens to be a politician. This particular INEC chairman has also even been criticized of being, having some kind of affiliation to the ruling All Progressives Congress, although we saw how that unfolded. But that main criticism about the fact that the chairman of INEC should be someone like you, someone from the ranks that came from the beginning and grew up to becoming chairman, and not just somebody who the president appointed. And it brings to question the loyalty of this person. Will Professor Joash Amupitan be able to carry out his duties freely and fairly if those duties in any way affect the interests of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is that a possibility? What do you make of that criticism? And just to get your thoughts, do you think that being an appointee of the president should continue as INEC chairman, being an appointee of the president? Should that be the way to go, or do you think that this should change over the years?
Well, let me say that in this matter, my opinion is not what is important. What is important is what the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria states. And I'm sure that what we are operating now is the Constitution. And the process through which the Constitution states that the chairman or the REC or any officer of the commission should be appointed is what is being followed. And once that procedure is followed, the Constitution is obeyed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And until that Constitution is changed, so that is what we have to operate with. But I want to assure you that the chairman of the commission is very objective and is an unbiased umpire and will deliver free, fair, and credible election in 2027.
The last INEC chairman had to deal with a very big issue during the last elections, and it had to do with the IREV, the real-time transmission of results. Now, following that criticism that he had to deal with, we saw what happened at the National Assembly, and then we can see right now that the real-time transmission of results is not mandatory. And of course, a lot of Nigerians it can happen, it's not mandatory, but it can happen. Many Nigerians will be looking at INEC and wondering, are you able to, ensure that this process is free and fair come 2027? If the transmission, real-time transmission is not necessary, is not mandatory, is that a loophole that INEC is going to exploit? And then we now see a situation where we don't get real-time transmission of results, even when they can be done, when network is good and all whatnot. So talk to us a bit about how, as a commission, you're going to be handling that criticism, because you will face it in 2027. And then, of course, the issue about network connectivity across the country. Is INEC up for that particular task?
Let me first of all say that INEC as a commission does not exploit the loopholes. And so that is not really what we do. What INEC we are doing and what we do in the 2027 election is to ensure that we deliver a free, fair, credible election to Nigerians. We hold it a duty to Nigeria and to Nigerians. And that, I believe, INEC will do. And with respect to the issue of the network connectivity, you will agree with me. The INEC is not fully in charge of that, but we are engaging the stakeholders. And I can assure you that by the grace of God, you will not experience that kind of hiccup again.
And then when it comes to the political parties that you're going to be dealing with, how are you with, I know they signed a lot of peace accords and a lot of stakeholders engagements, like you said. And then, one fixture that we've seen in INEC is the fact that it's now core members that we see handling the election in polling booths and whatnot, and polling centers. How are we doing with the protection of our children who are going to be handling something so sensitive in such a contentious election?
As an unbiased umpire, we try as much as possible to engage people who will be neutral in the process. And that is why we came to the issue of engaging the youth corps who came from different parts of the country and are not from that community, and they are serving their nation, and they are with that level of commitment. So that is why we keep on using these core members and also the available manpower for us. But with respect to their protection, the Commission is concerned about that, and then the Commission is engaging the security agencies to ensure that they are well protected in the forthcoming elections.
Just to, excuse me, just to quickly confirm, or rather inform or remind the viewer that, as you said, they can now register to vote in the comfort of their homes.
Yes.
Or even on the bus, wherever, they can vote where they are.
Yes.
So let that word go out now.
Yes.
Excuse me, I hope there is a feedback conduit in the event that some people are having challenges with the process. Is there a feedback challenge, a feedback channel through which they can reach out to INEC Lagos? Well,
of course, we have our, we'll be engaging the stakeholders right from the beginning of the exercise, and then we have a feedback mechanism through which we get whatever is the complaint from the people. But one thing I need to say about this new CVR app is that you can only operate on the Android smartphone.
Why?
If you are only if you are
You will
using
disenfranchise
no,
us
no,
on-
no, no. If you are using iPhone, you need to download Chrome.
Oh, okay.
If you download Chrome, you can use it.
Okay.
So I need to clarify. And NIN is mandatory. The moment you put in your name and then your date of birth, it will bring out your NIN details. If there's any discrepancy between what you put on the portal and then your NIN details, it won't allow you to proceed. Because this is done to ensure that we validate the identity of every person and ensure that we do not have multiple registration.
So just to be clear, those who cannot use the phone, the device, the app
Yes.
on any other device other than Android,
You can
have to
download
use Chrome.
Yes, you have to download
So
Chrome.
it's a web app on Chrome.
Yes,
So
yes.
they go to see because
Google Play Store.
yes, I know. So they have to go to cvr.inecnigeria.org.
If you just download the app from
Okay.
the app, you go to register.
To the
Yes,
registration.
just download the app straight.
Okay. All right. Now, to one or two other issues. There's an advocacy out there. Will INEC allow registered voters who do not have PVCs to vote?
But you know that the issue of the PVC is governed, like I said, by the Electoral Act. INEC cannot go outside what the Electoral Act prescribes. And then there's now the issue of this downloadable PVC. So except there's anything changes, it is what the Act stipulates that INEC will stick to.
But if it is downloadable, isn't it the same?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If once you have it, then you can come.
Okay, so people can download their PVCs.
That is what will happen before
Okay.
the next election.
That's before 2027.
Yes.
People who do not have their physical cards,
Yes.
they can download their PVCs.
That is what is
Okay, all right, we'll come to that one. Now, there's another vexed issue of voter awareness. Voting or registering to vote is just one of the activities in the electoral process.
Yes.
People have lost faith a lot in the electoral process because a good number of people, I mean, have believed for years that their votes will not count. And unfortunately, once they pass on that word, it seems like it's been catching, like wildfire. Until the last general elections, the voting percentage has always been on the downward trend. What is INEC doing about that? Lagos has a 20 million average population. A good number of that, 60% of that number is the voting population. So that's a sizable number. So what's INEC doing, or what will you be doing as the resident electoral commissioner in Lagos to ensure that this voter awareness is expansive enough to encourage people to trust the process and vote?
Thank you very much. See, in Lagos State, we have been doing a lot to engage the relevant stakeholders. And let me say that voters' education and the awareness creation is the job of everybody. INEC cannot do it alone. And that's why we have been engaging the civil society organizations, we have been engaging market women, we have been engaging political actors, we have been engaging PWD and different sectors of the society to educate the public that all of us will need to participate in this process. Let me say this. I want to please charge all Lagosians not to catch this flow of saying vote doesn't count. To me, it's my opinion, it's a barren argument, and I will tell you why. Will you buy what does not count? If vote does not count, why are we talking about vote buying epidemic? If vote does not count, how did some people, so to say, in quote, who will be regarded as unknown quantities, made it to the legislative chambers? If vote did not count, how come some incumbents lost election? So if we are saying that it's just a way of playing, ensuring that the minority continues to decide for the majority, mass participation is the answer to the issue of credibility of the election. And if people are having this mindset, it will discourage them. They will not participate, and then the minority will going to rule the majority.
Okay.
So if everybody comes out to vote, for instance, we have about 90 million voters, over 90 million voters in Nigeria. Let's say 60 to 70 or 80 million Nigerians come to vote. How many votes will you buy? You are talking of rigging. If there's mass participation, how will you rig? So this idea saying vote do not count, a vote does not count is actually is counterproductive and self-defeatist.
So,
and I will encourage Nigerians not to buy into that.
Okay, give us an assurance. Will the voters' vote count in 2027?
I want to assure you, with all my chest out, that the voters' vote, the vote will be counted and we count.
Okay. Just one quick one before we go. Section 77 of the new act mandates that all political parties must maintain a comprehensive digital register of their members, and they have to be submitted to INEC no later than 21 days before any party primaries or congresses. How are you preparing for that?
Like I told you, INEC as a commission, we obey every line and every sentence of the Electoral Act. So we are fully prepared to ensure that we are in full compliance.
Okay. We have to thank you very much for being here this morning. Professor Ayobami Salami is the resident electoral commissioner for INEC in Lagos State. We appreciate your time again, and
thank you.
Wish you all
pleasure
the best.
Being here.
Yeah. When we return, there's a saga that's been on the burner for a bit. We'll talk about that and a little more when we return.
Fact-finding.
The House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee investigating the legal status, operations and budgetary inclusion of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, PFIPC, has begun its public hearing with a pledge to determine whether the council was established in accordance with the law. The sitting is attended by the House Leader, Professor Julius Iovere, who represented the Speaker, members of the committee, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, representatives to the Central Bank of Nigeria, and other government officials. During the hearing, the committee chairman, Mr. Yusuf Gaddi, raised questions on the office allocation to the controversial agency, as well as the deployment of staff to the council.
You are the head of civil service of the Federation. You are going to help us work with Nigerian people. You are working with the Nigerian people. We want to know who authorizes the request for organizational structure for the PFIPC.
From our records, the council in question submitted a request to the OHCSF for approval of its organizational structure on the 6th of August 2025 without providing the requisite documents. Consequently, the request was not granted.
She also explained that although an authorized establishment for 314 staff positions was issued, the council's request for approval of its organizational structure was not granted because it failed to provide the required documents.
While there is speculation that the council occupied office space in the Federal Secretariat, Phase 3, we can state categorically that the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation did not allocate any office space to the PEAC-PFICP. The office space indicated as the council's physical address in the Federal Secretariat Phase 3 is part of the office spaces allocated to the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, vid letter dated 16th November 2023, to reallocate as they deem fit for the use of the office of the Secretary to the Government.
Somehow, this unfortunate, I don't know, case is catching on in a particular way, while the dramatis personae are prominent and important to be addressed. The fact that such a thing happened is a little more concerning. That and a number of other issues we'll be discussing this morning with a lawyer and principal counsel at GT Ogunye Chambers, Mr. GT Ogunye. He joins us here in the studio. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
First of all, we know that Mr. Gbajabiamila has been named in this matter. Some guy, I forgot his name now, he's late, has also been named. One, Mr. Adeyemi, has also been named in this matter. But then the issue is so many complexities seem to be playing out as far as this issue is concerned. Let's be clear, first of all, is this matter in court? We know that the president has directed ICPC to look at it. The president has also, the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, is already doing some hearings. Is the case in court now?
No, there was a charge that was preferred, but Prince Adeyemi Matthew had remained elusive, prompting the court to issue that bench warrant for his arrest on the 14th of July, leading to his being fished out of his hole somewhere in Osun State. Again, Mr. Gbajabiamila had filed a defamation suit in court, but the matter has not been assigned to a court. And proceedings has not commenced.
Okay.
So we can say, therefore, that these matters are not in court, thereby, in my view, giving good opportunity for the ICPC to conduct a thorough investigation, not one-sided, not investigating Palm, Prince Adeyemi Matthew. I call him Palm. Alone, but investigate all the other persons in the chain and then establish the truth of this matter.
So clearly you're saying that the case cannot be in court and these other investigations should be going on at the same time?
It shouldn't be so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now, from what you know and from what you have seen about this case, what are the complexities you see, and what are the things that we could be missing as a people?
Yeah, let me just run down this thing. Look, by a letter purportedly written by the Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Gbajabiamila, dated 8th of March 2024, with effect from 1st March 2024, and a forged gazette. These are the foundational documents, if you want to understand this thing. First, a forged letter of appointment, purportedly appointing Palm as the DG of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, and that forged gazette.
How do we know it is forged? How has it been
I know so. I know so. Nigerians should know so. Why? Because document was submitted to say that this is the law establishing me, and that law does not exist. It doesn't exist. That law was never made. Nigeria will get to validate all that I'm saying in due course. He submitted this document, and then the bureaucracy, federal bureaucracy, started reacting to him. First, he got an office in the Federal Secretariat from the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. An officer there, facilitated that, which was what the head of service was saying, 2 days ago during the plenary session or the committee session investigating this matter in the House of Representatives. 2, he then contacted the office of the head of service, who, in a period of time, did 2 critical things. First, that office gave him an establishment document. That establishment document approved the number of staff he could get, grade level 4, and so on and so forth. It's called the establishment document. And Two, that office gave him a waiver to recruit his own staff. Two important documents with these forged premises. Okay? Three, he then engaged the office of the Accountant General of the Federation, requesting via another forged letter from the office of the Permanent Secretary, State House, directed to the office of the Accountant General that he should be given, his agency should be given administrative code for the purpose of budgeting, for the purpose of funding, of financing, and for the purpose of financial reporting. And the office of the Accountant General then reacted to that letter by sending this to the office of the Director General of Budget Office of the Federation. And then, as the CBN had stated and validated, requested that accounts should be opened for this agency. So the office of the Director General of Budget of the Federation received these 4 documents, namely, as I've said, establishment document, 2, waiver to recruit, called recruitment waiver, 3, to get a code, generating a code and transmitting it to that office, and 4, an application by the DG himself, the phony DG, that look, his personal cost should be included in the budget. So with these 4 documents, they opened a line for him and allocated to his agency the sum of 1.5 or 1.4 billion naira, covering personal costs 800 million, overhead costs 200 million, and 300 million capital vote. Well, unfortunately, until this whole thing unraveled, he had not been able to access any such money. That's why the CBN was saying that those accounts were dormant. So, in the chain, you had these institutions reacting to this man who had gotten a footing at the Federal Secretariat, well-decorated place, putting photographs of people there, including the photograph of Doyin Salami, who led that office when Buhari was there. Because the man claimed that he was heading 2 agencies. Quite frankly, not just Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, he also claimed that he was also the DG of the PIC, Presidential Economic Advisory Council. So you get to the office, he had the portraits of those who had headed such office and all that, and got at the stage the Shower of Ogunye to come there and shower his royal blessings on him as a proud Ogunye son. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
But the Nigerian is naturally skeptical about this, particularly because certain names have been mentioned. The Chief of Staff, no less. And that the claim of 400 million naira bribe, directly or indirectly going to the Chief of Staff, pretty much gave this story its wings, because the moment the name of the Chief of Staff was mentioned, the case blew up. Now, there are those who are calling for the... First of all, tell us, because in all that you have spoken now, you haven't mentioned how the Chief of Staff's name came into this saga in the first place.
Look, the Chief of Staff is innocent of this allegation. But I think that...
But his name is very, very prominent.
It's politically expedient for his traducers to latch on to that name. Now, who mentioned the Chief of Staff? The forger. This phony character. Who, in June, granted the press conference and alleged frontally, I can't believe the temerity, that he gave him 400 million through an intermediary who is now late. The Yoruba will say that the child of an impotent person, a eunuch who cannot father a child, is always abroad. He said that the Tanimola is dead. He said that he died in a hotel and that there was arson. And that it was through that Tanimola that he passed the money, was the one who arranged the money. How the money was paid, he didn't say. Whether in cash or transfer, he didn't say, and all that. But by just mentioning the name,
is there a proof?
Nigeria went to town.
Is there a proof of that 400 million naira being sent anywhere?
It would be has no proof. He just said it. But Nigeria, this is a country where, unfortunately, trust in government has broken down. And Nigerians are willing to believe anything that is negative about government. Because Nigerians have seen a lot in the hands of those who govern. I must say this. And so, with that atmosphere of cynicism, people tend to believe things. Look, here was a man who was only reacting, who was malicious. And how was he malicious? Look, in the old narrative, when the Chief of Staff received a communication from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the ONSA, Office of National Security Advisor, also received a letter dated the same date, separately. One written by the Department of Economic Trade and Investment, one written by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, inquiring about that. Look, this man, there is this man that is going around meeting with foreign delegations, ambassadors, holding meetings with them, claiming that he's promoting. Clarify the status. Do you know him? And they then attached a so-called letter of appointment to it. That was the first time the Chief of Staff then saw that and said, wait a minute, who is this guy? So immediately, that letter was dated 16th, delivered on the 17th. On the 17th, he petitioned the DGSSS and the Inspector General of Police, stating that this guy is a forger. I never wrote such a letter. This letter is fake. Get him arrested and prosecuted. So the Chief of Staff was indeed the whistleblower. All the people in the chain that I've told you about, none of them wrote it. None of them saw that this forgery. So it was the Chief of Staff that wrote that letter to the Inspector General of Police, following which the man was arrested and detained for 23 days.
But there are those who will also say...
Just let me land on that. Nigeria didn't know then. The man was detained for 23 days. He didn't complain about being killed then in detention. And when he was to be charged to court, the charge was filed. He said his lawyer was not there, first date. So they gave him a date for his lawyer to come. The second time, his lawyer came. They said that he was ill. The third time, the judge didn't sit. The fourth time, it was the turn of his lawyer to be sick. Until he then went to town and started talking about being killed and all that, which then made him to say that, I cannot come out, I cannot go to court, which then led to the bench warrant being issued. The point to note is that this man never mentioned, even in the investigation report, the first time he was arrested, never mentioned anything about 400 million, never mentioned anything about Gbajabiamila. But it was when he was arraigned, and the Chief of Staff then learned that the man quietly was still parading himself as very quiet, perhaps hoping that this money that had been allocated to him in the budget would just trickle into that account, or some other things will happen. He didn't shout, Nigeria didn't know. It was the Chief of Staff again, the second time, on June 11th, that said, this man that I'm still hearing about, he then did a public disclaimer of the man.
Okay.
And so, in my view, it was in reaction to that, in a very malicious way, that the man then had a press conference and stated all that he had to say and all that.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Kayla has some questions for you as well on this issue. Kayla, go ahead.
Indeed, Mr. GT, I mean, it's expected to hear you defend your clients. You are Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila's lawyer. In fact, the statement that I'm looking at right now actually came from you, where you said your client gave his testimony. That's when he responded to the invitation by the ICPC. But before I go into the major questions I have for you, is it possible for us to know some of the questions he was asked? Because we weren't privy to some of the things that your client was asked. Is it possible to get that, or is there a rule saying we can't hear that?
The matter is still under investigation. It may not be professionally ethical for me to then disclose the questions. But pretty much the question is about this letter. What's the source? Did it emanate from your office? And the answer is in the public domain. The office of the Chief of Staff does not, as a matter of practice, rules, and procedure, issue appointment letter in the federal, public service. The office of the SDF does. So from the beginning, that letter couldn't have been issued by his office. That letter couldn't have been issued by his office, apart from the fact that the letter on his face patently is forged. Why? Seal-wise, signature-wise, everything is, the letter is a forgery, and it's even patent on his face. For example, if you were privy to see a copy of the letter, which I've seen, the reference letter in the usual letter written by the Office of Chief of Staff, you have SH, meaning State House, /COS. Then the remainder space is left. So that depending on the letter that is being issued and the sequence, you then use pen to put the remainder of the. This guy just forged his letter, typed everything. Because it's a forgery.
Okay. All right. So thanks for that clarification. I want to quote you. You said, at the very least, we can allege negligence by this administration on this particular matter, to confirm that you said that. And the fact that negligence, the fact that you who are Femi Gbajabiamila's lawyer, can say that the least we can do is say negligence at least happened. Isn't negligence enough for there to be more questions as to how we could allow something like that happen? What do you think should be the punishment, let's use the word punishment, for this sort of negligence at this level of governance?
That answer was in direct response to the question posed by Dr. Ruben Abati. It's true. And he posed the question, is this administration guilty of incompetence? And I thought that if I were to say so, that would be, to me, that would sound like you are trivializing the matter. It's not just gross incompetence. Look, I look at the situation whereby somebody brought a letter. You are the head of service, or you have staff under you. You are the accountant general, you have staff under you. And that letter claimed to have been written by the chief of staff, when you should know that that office does not issue a letter of appointment. So what does that say to you? That would mean that at the very least you have to make inquiries and dig and dig and dig to establish the truth. But all these things didn't happen across this chain. That's the point I'm making. And I'm saying that if we are not talking about willful connivance, deliberate collusion on the part of those persons who ought to have known, either at the middle level stage, preparing documents for their, because some of those documents are just signed for the SGF, for the permanent secretary, for the head of service, really. And so public service is a very dangerous and treacherous place. So if we're not talking about collusion, the very least is that we're talking about gross negligence, which should attract severe punishment, in my view, because this is a sordid matter. It's so embarrassing that somebody, even if you admit that, yes, this is forgery, everything, that somebody could walk his way like that into the purse of government at that level is incredible. It's incredible. Who
should be punished? Who dropped the ball, in your view? Who should who should face punishment for this matter, in your view?
The question this way, because that question is putting me on the spot. You said that I'm counsel to the chief of staff. So if I say he has nothing to do with this matter, and I then start apportioning blame to the other authorities in the chain, they are in the same government. But it should be obvious to Nigerians who dropped the ball. For example, in some of the communications, Nigerians will be shocked to realize that this man, who was calling himself the DG of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, interchangeably was calling his agency Presidential Foreign Intervention Council. Yes. And so the officials who are communicating back to him were interchangeably using that name also. Meaning, this is what I'm saying. This man presented documents. I am Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. He forged a gazette. Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. He then wrote a letter asking for codes, asking for establishment document, and he was calling himself Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, using intervention and investment interchangeably. And so the authorities were also using that name. So is it that at the very basic level, at the very minimum level, the authorities weren't sure what name that agency was bearing? More so when it would write as DG PEAC / that's Presidential Economic Advisory Council, and then / Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. So there are enough red flags that ought to have been seen by this body, so that if it were not a case of collusion, it would be, what fella would call Babanla nonsense, Babanla negligence, meaning a negligence that is so egregious and enormous to the extent that it's bordering on what we call criminal negligence. Because negligence can be civil, it can be criminal. If negligence is such that a duty that is compelled by law was not performed, it could then become a criminal neglect, which is punishable under the law.
That actually brings me to my final question, Mr. Ogunye, because that's where the conversation is going. Even if it's negligence, does it get to the part where this kind of negligence can be termed criminal? But before I toss back to Ayo, there was something you said recently. Many people have been asking the Chief of Staff to vacate the office, even if it's for 30 days, while an investigation is going on. And I heard you say that there's no reason why he should. Actually, you said it will undermine, asking him to vacate would undermine rather than advance justice. But his critics are saying that an investigation is ongoing. You have the ability, based on your office, to influence how this investigation goes. And so maybe a temporary movement away while this is going on would be the moral thing to do, would be, the honorable thing to do in a matter like this. But just to get your thoughts on it, and then how do you think that him being asked to vacate that office for a while will undermine rather than advance justice? Because most people would believe that justice would be seen to be served if he is not directly in a position where he can influence such a matter.
I don't think that he should vacate office temporarily in respect of this ongoing investigation. That will give credence, in my view, to the wrong-footed allegation that he collected money from this man, and as the man had, suggested that he knew something about the murder of one Tanimola or Asin and all those things and all that. Again, which is the second point I've made, why the fixation on the Chief of Staff? Somebody said, I didn't write a letter. So what of the other people who wrote the letters? What of the Akadajeda who generated codes? So if all of them were to resign, for example, will you empty government? 3, I've said that my knowledge of civil service procedure or public service procedure is that when investigation is being conducted internally, you may not ask somebody to resign or be suspended. That's interdiction. It is only when investigation is concluded and somebody has been indicted and may have to be arraigned in court, if it has some criminal element, that interdiction operates. That means for the duration of that period, it will be in court to answer to the charges, it will be on suspension. But we have not even reached the threshold. Right from day one, the man, who was luckily arrested, was saying, look, he had to resign. I need investigation and all that. And the point is, yes, I need investigation from United Nations. And the political opposition was investing in him, investing in the fraudster that ought to have been condemned, just because the Chief of Staff, was there. And so it was convenient for them to latch on to that and all that. So why will you believe somebody like that and you don't believe what the other person is saying? That I know nothing about this matter. If you, for those who are calling for resignation, I think that they should work harder. They should look for more terrible things that they thought that he had done. And then perhaps, start working on that. But on this one, I think that is...
So, in long and short, you don't think that the Chief of Staff has any case to answer?
No. It's a very convenient instruction and brief for me.
Okay.
Because of truth and honesty. If he had something to do with this, perhaps I will not be acting in this capacity.
Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. Mr. Ajiti Ogunye is a lawyer and principal counsel at Ajiti Ogunye Chambers. Thank you again for your time with us. And that's the show this morning. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your day. I'm Ayo Makinde. Business Morning is on the hour. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And I'm Kayla Magwa. See you tomorrow.